The Israeli Defense Forces' recent escalation in Rafah has drawn international condemnation and sparked a diplomatic firestorm. The White House, while initially hesitant to directly censure a key ally, has begun to signal its unease. The situation remains fluid, fraught with political and humanitarian complexities. The Rafah strikes, part of Israel's ongoing conflict with Hamas, have resulted in significant civilian casualties and widespread destruction. This has led to accusations of disproportionate force and potential war crimes. The situation is further complicated by the densely populated nature of Rafah, which straddles the border between Gaza and Egypt. The Biden administration, already grappling with the fallout from the Afghanistan withdrawal and facing a resurgent Russia, is now caught between its commitment to Israel's security and its stated emphasis on human rights. The administration has called for de-escalation and a return to negotiations, but these pleas have gone largely unheeded. The concept of a red line in international diplomacy is a precarious one. It represents a threshold that, if crossed, will trigger a specific response, often military in nature. The effectiveness of such a policy hinges on credibility, the perceived willingness to act when the line is crossed. In the current context, the Biden administration's red line has been ambiguous. While the U.S. has provided Israel with substantial military aid, it has also voiced concerns about civilian casualties and emphasized the need for a two-state solution. This ambiguity has led to uncertainty about where the U.S. stands and what actions it is willing to take. Some analysts argue that the Biden administration's reluctance to clearly define its red line has emboldened actors on the ground, leading to further escalation. They point to the lack of a decisive U.S. response to previous incidents as evidence that the current administration is unwilling to exert its influence in the region. The Biden administration's handling of the Rafah crisis has drawn criticism from both sides of the aisle. Some Democrats have urged the president to take a tougher stance against Israel, while Republicans have accused him of abandoning a key ally. The administration's response has been characterized by a delicate balancing act. On the one hand, it has sought to reassure Israel of its unwavering support, while also acknowledging the plight of Palestinian civilians. On the other hand, it has stopped short of taking concrete actions that could alienate either side. This approach reflects the complex realities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, where any perceived bias towards one side risks inflaming tensions further. However, it also highlights the limitations of a foreign policy that prioritizes short-term stability over long-term solutions. The international community has reacted to the Rafah strikes with a mixture of condemnation and concern. The United Nations has called for an immediate ceasefire and an independent investigation into potential war crimes. The European Union, a major provider of aid to Palestine, has expressed its deep concern over the civilian casualties and called on Israel to adhere to international humanitarian law. Several European countries have also summoned their respective Israeli ambassadors to express their displeasure. The Arab League, in a strongly worded statement, has condemned the Rafah strikes as a massacre and called for a united Arab response. The organization has also urged the International Criminal Court, ICC, to investigate potential war crimes committed by Israel. The Biden administration's handling of the Rafah crisis will have far-reaching implications for U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East and beyond. It has exposed the limitations of the red line approach and raised questions about the U.S.'s commitment to human rights. Domestically, the crisis has further polarized an already divided public. It has also fueled calls for a reassessment of the U.S.'s unconditional support for Israel, particularly among younger Democrats. The administration will need to carefully navigate these domestic pressures while also addressing the international fallout. The Rafah crisis serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the challenges facing any U.S. administration seeking to broker a lasting peace. The Biden administration's response, marked by caution and ambiguity, has so far failed to de-escalate the situation. It remains to be seen whether a more assertive approach, one that clearly defines U.S. interests and red lines, will be more successful.